He's been called the godfather of internet rap and the most influential rapper of his generation.
I'm the first music artist on YouTube.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
man.
the reason why all these cameras in here off of YouTube. I was blogging on YouTube 12 years ago.
I can't front against that. I can't front against that. It wasn't.
He was one of the first people to ever use the internet to create a massive organic fan base, and one of the first people to ever monetize a social media presence.
And now y'all want to make money off YouTube, and I was being shunned upon and laughed at. And now this is what everybody is glorifying, is making money off social media. What I created and started.
At 16 years old, he came up with ways to promote his music and his brand in ways that are still copied by massive companies today, and he created the #1 song in the world.
Then they'll go, they'll download that song for free. Like, I'm finna get 50 Cent at the club. They'll hit download, they hit play, they'll go, yo, don't, Soulja. They're like, what the f is this about? You know what I'm saying? But about probably like a minute in, they're like, damn, this hard.
He managed to do all this from his dad's house and made his first $1 million by the time he was only 17 years old. But the true story of Soulja Boy's success is shrouded in mystery.
After I slapped him, he reached for his pistol and he just started letting all his shots off. I got hit 5 times.
It's clouded by deception. A lot of people's stories don't add up.
Like, was that reported correctly, first of all? Like, what went down?
I mean, I really don't want to, dwell on the entire situation, you know what I'm saying, because of my career.
And it's overshadowed by threats and violence.
A-Rap passed me the pistol. I hop out, I start shooting. Bow, 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 bow.
So let's piece all of this together and look at the evidence for ourselves. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm Jabroni, and this is the untold story of Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy was born DeAndre Cortez Way in Chicago in 1990. His parents were separated, and when DeAndre was 6, his mom sent him to live with his dad Tracy in Mississippi. Tracy was a very supportive dad, and he asked his son what he needed to be successful. DeAndre said he wanted to get a record deal, and all he needed was a computer and a fast internet connection, which his dad gave him. DeAndre quickly started working on beats and teaching himself to produce music. In school, DeAndre made a friend named Ibrahim Mustafa, nicknamed Arab, who would come over to DeAndre's house and help him make beats and write songs. But in the late 90s and early 2000s, there were only a few ways to get signed as a rapper. You could mail your tapes to labels and radio stations and hope they liked them, or better yet, you could try to meet Snoop Dogg or Jay-Z in the back of an alley of a club after their show, hope they were in a good mood, and shove your mixtape in their face. But the most surefire way was to know somebody already in the industry and use connections and mutual acquaintances to try and land meetings with record executives on the far-fetched hope they would sign you without ruining all your relationships you leveraged to get there. As a young kid living in Batesville, Mississippi who worked at Burger King, DeAndre didn't have any of that. But if he couldn't get a record deal the old-fashioned way, he decided he would just make a new way. The internet had technically been around since the 1960s, but the internet as we know it today was being created right in front of DeAndre's eyes in the early 2000s. A site where anyone could share videos called YouTube was created just as DeAndre was starting to make songs, and 3 months after it was founded, he started posting videos there. Back then, mainstream artists weren't heard from unless they dropped an album or did an interview on TV or radio. But DeAndre was uploading videos as often as he wanted to YouTube. He could teach his fans to do dances, show them his process for making beats, or just share random Xbox 360 gameplay he recorded on his phone. Soulja Boy was the first person to successfully harness the power of YouTube to grow a fan base from scratch. This was also the golden age of LimeWire, where anyone could upload their music and anyone could download it. Torrenting was the most popular way to get music, and DeAndre really wanted people to get his music. Instead of uploading his unheard of songs and hoping people would download them, he would post his songs with the wrong titles and metadata to clickbait people. He said in an interview, "I would just take a name, Britney Spears, 50 Cent, Michael Jackson, anything that was on the radio. Anything people wanted to hear at the time, I would just upload it and change the title. After I did that, it started getting millions of downloads. It was so fast, like overnight." As his music started to get popular, DeAndre's dad, Tracy, reached out to a buddy he had made in college to see if he could help DeAndre with his musical career. Michael Sykes, aka CEO Miami Mike, had been working as a small-time music promoter, but DeAndre wanted him to be his manager. With Mike's help, DeAndre was able to start booking local shows and making a little money. DeAndre says in his movie that there was a point where he had to decide between his job at Burger King and doing another concert. The gig paid $3,000, and for a kid making minimum wage grilling Whoppers, that was a fortune. DeAndre left his spatula behind and became Soulja Boy. On June 12, 2006, Soulja Boy uploaded Soulja Boy Tell 'Em new exclusive song on his YouTube channel. This rough cut, made with default drum packs and a cracked copy of FL Studio, absolutely exploded in popularity. When Soulja Boy and Arab needed to come up with a name for their hit track, they ended up calling it Crank That Soulja Boy. To support their new single, they wanted to create their own record label. They liked the name Stacks on Deck, but since it was pretty widely used already and they didn't want to be sued, they shortened it to SOD and then added MG at the end for Money Gang. To this day, everyone from Soulja's original crew has SODMG tattoos, and if you've ever wondered what his chains mean, that's it. As they booked more and more shows, Soulja Boy started shouting out his MySpace every time he got on the mic. He figured out how to get fans from MySpace to check out his YouTube, and he got people from YouTube to check out his SoundClick page. And his social media presence started to absolutely explode in 2006 as all of these things started to snowball. As a 16-year-old kid, he literally created the model followed by everyone online today trying to promote content from independent artists to massive labels. One kid who happened to become a fan of Soulja Boy through the internet was the son of Michael Crooms, aka Mr. Collie Park, an award-winning producer who had no idea who Soulja Boy was before his son showed him. He was blown away that someone with hundreds of thousands of views and downloads online had exploded in popularity completely under the mainstream radar and without the help of anyone in the industry. Mr. Collie Park reached out to Soulja Boy, and in May of 2007, he was able to help Soulja Boy get a record deal with Interscope Records. From this point, Soulja Boy would leverage his momentum to go from internet personality to worldwide celebrity. With the help of Mr. Collie Park and Interscope Records, Soulja Boy was able to drop his first studio album in late 2007. Critical reception was less than desirable, but that didn't stop Soulja Boy from selling 117,000 units in the first week of sales. Crank That was at number 1 for an amazing 7 weeks on the US music charts. But Soulja Boy wasn't looking just for musical accolades. He wanted to make money. He landed a shoe deal with Yum, getting his shoes sold in Finish Line stores across the US. This was also the era of ringtone sales. The coolest kids would text a number to buy a ringtone, and then the company selling them would send you a file that you could download, and it would set your ringtone as whatever 2000s hip-hop hit you wanted. Soulja Boy sold millions of these, quickly making his first $1 million at 17 years old. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for Soulja Boy. He had made a huge splash in a multi-billion-dollar industry where there were powerful players invested in maintaining the status quo. There were bound to be some waves coming to try and knock over his ship. The first name to come after Soulja Boy was Ice-T, who told Soulja Boy that he had single-handedly ruined hip-hop and made a series of videos attacking him and his music. Snoop Dogg was next, who basically said that Soulja's music lacked depth. Soulja Boy was quick to clap back at everyone who came at him, using every beef opportunity to make more content for his YouTube and MySpace. Then in late 2008, Soulja Boy shot someone in his house. This part of Soulja Boy's story is crazy, and I spent most of my time researching this video fixated on this shooting, trying to figure out what actually happened at Soulja Boy's house on the night of December 30th, 2008. Because there are at least 5 different versions of this story from different people who claim to have been involved. I watched all of them multiple times and then tried to fact check each one as best I could. Here's what I discovered. First off, Soulja Boy didn't actually live in Atlanta at the time. He lived in a suburb of Atlanta called McDonough. In interviews immediately after the incident happened, Soulja Boy said this: "The night of December 30th, Soulja Boy had his album release party for his second album at a club in Atlanta called Club Excalibur, which Soulja Boy said he owned. Around 3 a.m., Soulja Boy got back to his house and started recording in his studio. His friend Arab was in the studio recording with him, and his other friends Jabbar and Killer were there in the living room. Soulja Boy said without warning, his front door was kicked in, and 3 guys with masks and AKs ran into the house. Soulja Boy said he looked out the door from inside his studio and saw them running around in his house, grabbed his pistol, and shot one of them. But as articles from news sites started to come out, Soulja Boy started saying it was 5, maybe 6 guys with AKs. Soulja Boy would go on to give a couple of famous interviews where he tells this story. In the first one with Vlad TV, Soulja says that after the men broke in, he shot one of them and then the others ran away. He says he took the man's mask off and he recognized him. He says the man was still alive, but then he shot him again. The interviewer asks if the man survived. Soulja Boy says no, he doesn't want to talk about that. Then the interview says, okay, so the coroner came and took the body away, which Soulja agrees with. So, without explicitly saying it, Soulja admits to killing someone in this interview. Soulja Boy says the police showed up soon after, and he went with them to the station to give a statement for the report, but that they let him off since it was in self-defense, and he was in his own home. But the way Soulja Boy tells his story in this interview is so incredulous and so unbelievable that it spawned an entire wave of memes under the hashtag Soulja Boy Challenge, spearheaded by rapper and commentator Joe Budden. I found another version of the story in Soulja Boy's movie that was released in 2011. This version told in the movie is pretty similar to the version told in DJ Vlad's interview, but with one major plot point added. This guy is called Q. He was Soulja Boy's associate in 2008 and had access to his bank accounts. Before Soulja was robbed at his home, Q stole $45,000 out of Soulja Boy's checking account. Q says that someone broke into his house, put a gun to his head, and told him that he had to steal the money from Soulja Boy or they would kill him. So he did. Q says these same guys then found Soulja Boy's house and were the ones who went on to rob him in person. Then the movie gives us another major plot point that Soulja left out of all of his interviews. Soulja's manager, Miami Mike, says the robbers were 2 members of the group the Showstoppers, who were a rap crew that SOD had signed. Mike said that one of the intruders was shot 5 times. I found it interesting that all the way back in 2011, Soulja Boy's manager seemed to know exactly who robbed him and was saying that it was only 2 guys, while Soulja Boy was in front of cameras for years saying it was 5 or 6 guys and not naming names. Soulja Boy did another famous interview with The Breakfast Club where he retells the story pretty much the same as before, but in this version of the story, Soulja Boy says he hit 2 of the intruders with shots from his Glock. The part about taking a guy's mask off and shooting him again is still in the story, but this time Soulja says he shot a second guy as well who got away. He says this guy that got away was caught at the hospital using surveillance footage. He says that the next day he put his house on the market and started the process of moving to LA. The day after Soulja Boy's story hit the news, 2 guys in hoods started posting videos to WorldStar bragging that they were the ones that robbed Soulja Boy's house. They said Soulja was lying and that there were only 2 of them with 1 pistol, not 5 or 6 guys with AKs. These 2 guys were never identified and no one ever came out to confirm their story, so as of right now, it seems like another dead end. At this point, there's so many holes and inconsistencies in this story, I don't know what to believe anymore. I think I have a fuzzy idea of what happened that night, but without a police report, I don't want to come to any kind of concrete conclusion. If Soulja Boy went down to the police station after killing someone, I should be able to find a police report, right? Right? Wrong. I searched for days and couldn't find anything. Nobody can find anything. No articles in the McDonough newspaper, nothing from Henry County. I couldn't find a police report anywhere. But then I stumbled across this image. Soulja Boy's associate and Chicago rapper Rico Reckless leaked this picture of a police report he says Soulja Boy filled out. It's got Soulja Boy's real name at the top, his address at the time, and Rico even left Soulja Boy's social security number on there. It's dated 12/30/08, but it says it was filled out at 5:30 in the morning, which would imply the incident actually took place the night of December 29th. At the bottom, it looks like Soulja wrote, "After I looked at the hospital photos, I identified 2 of the people as Mike Dingo and Droopy. They are signed to my record label. The name of the group is Showstoppers." If this police report is legit, this is a major breakthrough in the story. But who the heck are Mike Dingo and Droopy? Are they the same Showstoppers that CEO Miami Mike talked about in Soulja Boy's movie? Let's find out. The Showstoppers have 1 song on YouTube featuring Soulja Boy, so they were definitely part of his crew. But there's almost nothing on the internet about them, and it seems like after their 1 song, they left the music industry completely and disappeared from the public spotlight. But Soulja Boy's 2016 interview with Vlad TV, where he says he killed someone, brought the Showstoppers back into the spotlight. They reached out to Vlad and asked to come and tell their side of the story. Droop says he needed to clear the air because he had friends legitimately confused, thinking he was dead. In the interview, Droop confirms that he is the person Soulja Boy shot and that no, he isn't dead. Here's the Showstoppers version of what happened. Droop says that he was at Soulja Boy's album release party at the Excalibur in Atlanta. At the party, they got into an argument when Soulja Boy said he wasn't going to pay the Showstoppers any royalties, even though they were on the album. After the party, Soulja Boy went back to his house, and Droop and Mike Dingo showed up there shortly after. Droop went inside to talk to Soulja Boy, and Mike stayed in the car with his girlfriend. Droop says he went inside, and the argument with Soulja Boy quickly heated back up. Droop says he slapped Soulja Boy, and then Soulja pulled out his gun. Droop slapped him again, and then Soulja Boy started shooting. According to Droop, Soulja Boy emptied the mag on his Glock 45 and hit Droop 5 times. He even showed scars that definitely looked like bullet wounds during the interview. Droop says he started trying to run away and made it out the front door before he blacked out. Mike says he heard the shots and then saw Droop stumbling out the front door. Mike says at the same time, someone came running out of the house from another door and jumped into Soulja Boy's Hummer and sped off, but it was too dark for him to see who it was. Mike took Droop to the hospital, but it wasn't long before the police showed up. Droop says since Soulja Boy had told the police his version of the story first, he had to hire 2 lawyers to defend him from an aggravated robbery charge. Droop says he ended up taking a plea deal and serving 9 months in prison for an attempted robbery that never happened. I couldn't find any more police reports or criminal records to back up Droop's story, but in a lot of ways, he's more credible than Soulja Boy on several points from this story. Miami Mike said all the way back in 2011 that it was 2 guys from the Showstoppers involved, as does the leaked police report. Personally, I think Droop and Mike went to Soulja Boy's house that night, and that Soulja did end up actually shooting Droop. I think Soulja Boy has been embellishing this story for years to stay out of prison and for street cred. But even if all Droop did was slap him and Soulja shot him for that, Soulja still might have gotten off in Georgia if he said he feared for his life. But with Soulja Boy, appearances are everything. Despite the shooting, the album still came out. It was Soulja Boy's second album, called I, Soulja Boy Tell 'Em, and it got mixed reviews on release. Regardless of the reviews, it debuted at number 43 on the US Billboard charts, and it sold 46,000 copies in its first week. Soulja Boy continued touring and doing interviews throughout 2009, but then in October he was arrested for the first time. Him and some friends were shooting a music video at an abandoned house without permits or permission to be on the property, and when police showed up, Soulja Boy and several of his friends ran away. He ended up walking back to the house where he was arrested and charged with obstruction. It was a minor charge and he quickly got out on $550 bond. He immediately got right back to work, working on his third album. He said in multiple interviews that he wanted to change up his style and make more serious rap, and get away from making songs and dances designed to go viral for kids. He wanted his third album to be his most personal and successful album to date. Soulja Boy had money and fame, but now he wanted respect. On November 30th, 2010, The DeAndre Way dropped. Despite all the promotional touring, interviews, and hype building Soulja and his friends had done to get the album out there, it only sold 13,000 copies in its first week. In an interview later on, Soulja Boy would blame the album's commercial failure on his failing relationship with Mr. Collipark. It was the first time Soulja didn't have Mr. Collipark help with production on the album, so he had less power to get Interscope to help push the record out. He was at the mercy of an industry that seemed to be leaving him behind. After this album flopped, Soulja Boy seriously considered stopping music altogether, but 50 Cent gave him a pep talk, reminding Soulja that he had started the internet. This was enough to keep Soulja Boy in the studio and on tour as much as he could manage. The next decade of Soulja Boy's career would be marked by mixtapes, EPs, CD business ventures, beefs with anyone and everyone, and lots of run-ins with the law. In October of 2011, on the same day his movie was released, he was arrested in Georgia after cops found weed, guns, and $70,000 in cash in his car. In 2014, he landed a role on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, arguably his highest profile gig of the decade. Soulja had landed a leading role in a very popular TV show, and fans loved him, But in 2014, Soulja was arrested in Los Angeles for illegally possessing a loaded firearm in a public place and was barred by a judge from possessing guns and ammo, and was placed on 2 years probation. In 2016, Soulja made a deal with World Poker Fund Holdings, an online gambling company. Soulja Boy claimed that they paid him $400 million to be their spokesperson, but the company quickly said that wasn't exactly correct, and that they had issued him stock that could be worth $400 million one day, since that was the cap for the deal. The stock was probably worth about $2.5 million at the time. When Charlemagne challenged Soulja on this in an interview a couple years later, Soulja just said, "Millions is millions," in classic Soulja Boy style. Also in 2016, his deal with Love and Hip Hop Hollywood ended. As with so many of Soulja Boy's escapades, there are two conflicting versions of why he left. Soulja told the media that he felt his brand was too big for the show, and that the show was too ratchet. But an anonymous source who worked on the show told the media that Soulja had been released from his contract for threatening his girlfriend Nia with a gun on Instagram. Threatening people became something of a hobby for Big Draco during this time, and in December, a Los Angeles judge took notice of this and signed a warrant for Soulja Boy's house to be searched. He was still on probation for his prior convictions, so if anything illegal turned up, Soulja Boy could be looking at serious prison time. As it turns out, the police did find a probation-violating weapon and ammo, but the judge was gracious and just extended Soulja Boy's probation and gave him community service instead of sending him to jail. In December of 2018, Soulja launched his most ambitious business venture yet, the Soulja Game. Soulja said he designed and created his own video game console with over 800 games. He sold a console version at $149.99 and a handheld version at $99. He started selling pre-orders immediately, and I ordered one of each as soon as I heard about it. I love internet culture and gaming history, and I instantly knew this would be part of both. But like so many things with Soulja Boy, there was an asterisk. Fans quickly found out that the hardware for Soulja Game came from a site called AliExpress, which is basically the Chinese version of Amazon, and Soulja Boy was planning on just buying these and reselling them at massive margins. The flip was so obvious and Soulja was so careless about this, he just copy-pasted art from AliExpress's website and posted it as his own. The controversy erupted massively. Fans started tagging Nintendo in Soulja Boy's posts since the consoles had illegal copies of Nintendo games on them, a company infamous for extremely aggressive legal action to protect their intellectual property. This caused Soulja Boy to have an absolute tantrum online, drawing the attention of talking heads and commentators from all over the internet, myself included. I might have made a stupid Roblox diss track and tweeted it at Soulja Boy. I got blocked within 30 minutes. Yeah, I wish I was joking. JonTron made a video that got 13 million views about the situation, and finally Nintendo took notice. Within a month, Soulja Boy had backed down and pulled his sales pages offline, with his website redirecting to Nintendo's official site. I can only assume that Nintendo's lawyer sent the scariest stuff Soulja Boy has ever seen, because he dropped his act instantly and the charade was over. Nobody was ever shipped a Soulja Game console as far as I'm aware, and I had to do a PayPal chargeback to get my money back, as I'm sure thousands of other people did. Now, I knew it was a bootleg ripoff as soon as I put my order in, but I was excited just to have something in my hands from Soulja Boy. So I hope he makes another attempt in the future at the games industry, maybe a little bit more legitimate one. In January of 2019, Soulja Boy went on the Breakfast Club podcast, in what may be the most famous interview he's given yet. He said he had the biggest comeback of the year and that he was working on yet another documentary about his life. He said it would be released in theaters in 2019 and would include security footage to back up his side of the infamous Georgia shooting story. The interview also birthed some of the funniest memes of the time, with Soulja Boy calling out everyone from Tyga to Chris Brown to Drake. But soon after, Soulja would find himself in trouble with the law again. Just weeks after the Breakfast Club interview, a woman named Kayla, who was apparently dating Soulja Boy, told police she was at his house when they began arguing. She said he beat her up and then tied her up with an extension cord to a chair in the garage for 6 hours before he finally let her go. She went to the hospital and claimed she suffered 3 broken ribs and a concussion. Luckily for Soulja Boy, the district attorney ended up dropping the case, citing insufficient evidence. But while investigating the woman's claims, the Ventura County Sheriff's Office served a search warrant at Soulja Boy's house and found ammunition. He was still on probation from his 2 weapons convictions before, and this time the judge wasn't so lenient. Soulja Boy was sentenced to 240 days in jail, but things would get even worse for Soulja before they got better. After only a few months locked up, thieves broke into Soulja Boy's house and stole $500,000 in jewelry and cash. They also got his iPhone and used it to go live and make fun of Soulja from his own Instagram account. Soulja Boy told the press that he thought it was an inside job since the thieves knew exactly how to get in and went straight to his safe. Since Soulja Boy got out of jail, he seems like a different person. He went back on The Breakfast Club in March of 2020 and he seemed way more relaxed and chilled out. He said he feels like he owes his fans good music and just wants to focus on that. Since then, he's been keeping a relatively low profile and he's been streaming on Twitch. At first, I thought seeing a guy who's worth millions of dollars play Among Us to a few hundred people on Twitch seemed like a waste of his time. Couldn't he be making more money doing something else? But then it hit me. This is exactly where he's most in his element. Ever since he was a 14-year-old kid in his room in Batesville making beats, Soulja Boy has been in front of a computer figuring out new ways to make money. Even with all his flaws, half-truths, and questionable business ideas, this is still the guy who created the internet. And that is the untold story of Soulja Boy. So as always, thanks for watching, stay weird internet, see you next time. For the 8 people that made it to the end of this video, thanks so much for sticking through. I really appreciate it. If you like my content, hit subscribe, smash the bell. If you want even more, you can follow me over at Twitch, twitch.tv/JabroneyTV, where I've been doing a blind playthrough of Dark Souls 3. You can also follow me on Twitter and ask Soulja Boy to unblock me, please. I post weird jokes and memes over there. And if you're into TikTok, I know not everybody is, but you can follow me over there. It's Jabroni with 2 Y's. I've been posting a lot of videos with Baby Yoda, if you're into that sort of thing. So once again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the support on my YouTube channel this year. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and thanks again. See you guys next time.